Differences in skin, hair, lips, food, stereotypes we hear, occupations, talk, accents, and language, history, experiences, and hatred. All these different aspects seem separate, but they come back and connect to one impactful word, racism. And yes, racism still exists today. The term ethnic discrimination or racism is defined as prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that your own race is superior. With the way that this world is corrupt today, especially with the words that we hear everywhere, racism is very prominent and is common in this day and age. Please, raise your hand if you ever experienced anything racism towards you. Whether it was a look, whether it was a remark, whether it was an action, anything. We see this form of oppression everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, the news, and we especially hear racial slurs and stereotypes, such as the term Africant, which is directed towards African Americans, stereotyping them as lazy, unemployed, they can't do anything for themselves. Or we hear the term cracker, which is directly mostly at Caucasians, and defining them as a person or thing that cracks. We hear the word border jumper, which is directed at all Hispanics, saying that they jumped over a border and defining them as immigrants. But we more commonly hear about institutional racism. It's a pattern of social institutions such as governmental organizations, schools, banks, and courts of law, police officers, and sheriffs giving negative treatment to a group of people based on their race. Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, the co-author and executive director of the African American Policy Forum, said an AAPF report on law enforcement said that Black women are routinely killed, raped, and beaten by the police. Our experiences are fairly foregrounded in popular understandings of police brutality. In a 2015 study by the Washington Post, statistics have said that an unarmed Black man is 7 times more likely to get killed than an armed white man by a police officer. A person who isn't armed and dangerous is 7 times more likely to get killed by a police officer than a person who has the weapon, the person who is armed and dangerous. A report by CNN says that 85% of Muslims are more likely to get selected than by walking through an airport for a random search. They don't even have to be doing anything. Just because of the way they look, because of the way their name sounds, they can just be selected. And we call this racial profiling. Racial profiling refers to the targeting of particular individuals by law enforcement authorities based not on their behavior but their personal characteristics. Just because of the way somebody looks, because of the way somebody talks, because of their race, they can be selected and be discriminated. And due to these hurtful circumstances, many people try to change themselves. They try to hide and cover up their God-given features that make them who they are instead of embracing them. Next one. We have Muslim girls taking off their hijabs so that they aren't seen as a part of a terrorist act. We have African American girls bleaching their skin because darker skin is downgraded. We have them putting relaxer in their hair and wearing weaves because their natural hair isn't as accepted as straighter hair. Can I dive into this topic of dark skin versus light skin a little more? People often refer light skins being kept in the house during slavery times, which caused a lot of the darker skinned slaves to believe that they were being treated better, but in all reality, this isn't true. Nobody bothers to look at the rest of the story. Back in the 1800s, it was illegal for a white master to sleep with their slaves in order to make new ones. So the biracial ones were often kept in the house. But the mistress or the wife of the slave master would often beat, starve, and degrade the biracial kids more than the outdoor slaves. In result to this, the Black Lives Matter movement has also sparked up. It's uniting all African Americans as one, to be united and to not be separate anymore. Oh, I lost my place. Sorry. We feel as if we are being protected by officers in the Constitution like we're supposed to be. The 14th Amendment discusses citizenship rights. It was ratified in 1868. It gives the right to citizenship to anyone born in the U.S. It gives the right to equal protection of the national and state laws, and the right to be free of any law that deprives a person of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But for some reason, we feel like we're not being protected like we're supposed to be. But in the beginning, we as a human race weren't always separate. See, people of the ancient times viewed African, Arab, and Asian people of Asian descent had similar views to the early Christian church, which declared that all people have been created alike by God. We see the oldest images of Black Africans in Egypt, showing them well integrated into society. Black as a color was positively valued in Egyptian culture. It was the color of fertility because it was dark as the silt of the Nile, which was a river that gave them life. But in ancient times, by ancient Greeks and early Christians, the color black was associated with the underworld and demons. It was probably considered the worst color in the rainbow. But even though everybody had pretty separate views, they were all looking at each other with favor. But after the fall of the ancient Roman Empire, the main group dividing Europeans wasn't race, it was religion. Within a few centuries, the Islam became the new imperial force and the main enemy of the Christian Europe. By the time of the Crusades, the Arab-speaking people were demonized by the Europeans as barbaric, degenerate, and interestingly different from the Christian West. By 1667, a decree was released saying that converted slaves should be kept in bondage, and not be offering of these couples. Without the law clearly saying so, they implied that blacks were unalterably an alien and inferior. By the 18th century, the word Negro was capitalized and was considered the proper term for African Americans, mostly used by slave masters. It literally means black in Spanish and Portuguese, and is derived from the word Niger. They went back to the beliefs of the early Christian church in ancient Greece that the color black was degrading and evil, to make us seem like we were less than what they were supposed to be, like we came from hell, like we were demons. And even though this all happened so long ago, why does it still happen today? Alex Haley, the author of the book Roots, says that there are 3 P's to racism: power, prejudice, and privilege. When you feel like you have power over somebody, you feel like you can put them down and make them feel less than what you are. When you feel prejudice, you just feel like you're above everybody. When you feel like you have privilege, you feel like nobody else has the same privilege as you do. But in the end, God doesn't see color, doesn't pay attention to history. He created us in his own image. He created male and female. He created them as it says in Genesis 1, verse 27. In Galatians 3, verse 28, there is no Jew nor Gentile, nor slave nor free, no male nor female, for we are all one in Jesus Christ. God sees us all as his children. We are all his children. And if you've never experienced racism, I know it's hard to understand and try to put yourself in the shoes of those people who have experienced it. But you can help, I'm telling you. You can be encouraging. And even if you don't understand everybody's culture to the fullest extent, you can still sympathize and you can still respect them. If you see something, say something.